Very deep. Okay, so we are streaming live now on Facebook, Dan. It is official. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Mandee Hamerstein, and we are live here on the New Feathers Facebook page. And it's going to be a great day because we are talking with playwright, author, comedian Dan Fiorella, and he has lots to share. And we're just going to have a good old time getting to know Dan. And real quick, Dan is going to be part of New Feathers on October 14th. We are producing one of his short plays called Countdown to Valentine or Valentines. And I read the script. It's great. And it's going to be a lot of fun, whether you love Valentine's Day or not. So anyway, Dan, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your relationship with your mother. No, I'm kidding.
What? Huh? She's a lovely woman. Lovely.
Of course. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there. Anyway, Dan, tell everybody about yourself. Now, you're obviously in New York. Well, it's obvious to me, but not obvious to everyone here. How long have you been a New Yorker? I hear it in your voice. You've got that edge, but it sounds like you've got things going on in LA too. There's much to cover here.
Oh, yes, I'm practically bi-coastal. Born and raised in Staten Island, which is still legally part of New York.
There you go.
So I'm out here, married. I had 3 kids. I now have grandchildren. So there's that keeps you hopping. You
need a sense of humor for all that.
Oh, heavens yes, heavens yes. Three girls, the wife, and I haven't been correct since the Clinton administration. So keeping busy. I'm serving 9 to 5 at a day job in the Wall Street area, and I have been writing since I can remember, and pursuing it since college. So it's been a long, meandering, winding road of odd jobs and comedic content I've created over the years.
Yeah. Now, do any of your family members have a comedic style about them? Growing up in a household with somebody who can't stop to be funny?
Yeah, everybody. In fact, in the family, I am basically the audience. They are all characters, and they all have different senses of humor. I was not the I used to joke, I wasn't the class clown, but I was the one who slipped the class clown notes. Here's a good joke, use that. Yeah, weirdly, I'm kind of the introvert, but I just grew up watching the old movies, old comedians, and it's and the TV comedians, variety shows, and I just at some point it's like I felt like I could do that. I could write a skit. I can write a funny scene and something. I would keep doing that. And it turns out people actually do that for a living. So I was like, all right. So there's something I've been doing on the side, and I've managed to keep getting various little gigs here and there through the years that seems to justify my pursuit of this.
Oh, that's great. Now, we're going to start with real quick about Countdown to Valentines.
Okay.
Can you give people an idea what that's about without giving too much away?
All right. Through the years, watched a lot of Hallmark movies. They're right. Romantic comedies.
Well, with 3 daughters, you can't avoid that, I guess.
That's to that extent. And my wife, a huge fan, especially the Christmas stuff. Oh, yeah. But there was a again, this is for let me organize my thoughts here. All right, for a group I was writing sketches for, it came up, they wanted to do a holiday thing, and I proposed a version of this where it's like, I didn't want to do a parody write-up of the format, but I came up with the idea of a protest about the format where women are angry because they feel that these movies, these romantic comedies, are portraying love in a false light and making it look like it's oh so simple and cute and adorable. And they have a bone to pick with Hallmark. And
Oh yeah.
that's the basic premise of the bit.
Well, I think a lot of people will relate to that for sure. I
I
know when
hope
I was
so.
reading the script, I certainly did. But yet I'm hooked every time there's something corny and romantic on the Hallmark Channel.
It is. You turn it on, go, ha, 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 and then you're into it. Before you know,
Yeah.
like,
It's
I got
magic.
sucked in again.
Well, that's a lot of fun. And I'm trying to remember how many characters are in that particular piece. And it, I would say realistically runs about 10 to 12 minutes long.
Yeah, well, accounting for laughs, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the executive, and the group, which is the leader, and I think she has three. I'm doing this from, I haven't looked at it myself in a while, and her three sidekicks.
Okay. And I know the cast pretty well who's going to be performing these roles, and I can't wait to see them in action because I've seen them perform before, and I'll try to get you some video snippets since you can't make, the helicopter's not working to get you over to Bucks County.
They grounded the private jet,
Yeah. It's in the shop. But anyway. So yeah, let's do a little timeline of what you've got going on. I know you have books on Amazon we wanted to talk about. Can you tell people the titles of those books, how they could find them, and what's, the summary?
All right. Yeah, Amazon.com, Dan Fiorella. Or you can go to my website and list is danfiorella.com. And what I did was, as I said, writing every direction. I've written many scripts, let's say many scripts. And at one point I decided not to waste material. So I began adapting them, novelizations of my own script. When Amazon turned on its Kindle program, it was like the perfect place just to lock down my stories in another format, and and protect them as my property, my story, my humor. And so over the years, I've taken a couple of them. I've kind of taken a break from that for a while. But yeah, so well, Halloweenies happens to be on sale this week for 99 cents, and that's not all.
Wow.
No, really, that's all. Halloweenies. That's like growing up. I was a fanatic for Halloween, and enough ideas came up, and it's like, I think I can get a whole story out of this. So I wrote that up. Kid growing up, trying to come up with a perfect Halloween costume, trying to earn money to buy it. It's very expensive, and all the various stunts and obstacles he has to go through to finally get the thing. Very, very comical, very silly, very Little Rascals, our gang comedy style of
so
humor.
what would be the age group on that book?
I mean, that's the thing. I don't write it as a children's book, but I feel anyone can read it, but it's because I don't work blue, so it's just silly. Some jokes might go over kids' head.
Yeah.
Some of the humor is goofy and silly, so the adults might like roll their eyes. But I think it's a family book, a family story.
Oh, neat.
So,
yeah, listen, humor is great when it's like you could share it with the family, even if it goes over the kids' heads. That happens so many times just in a typical Disney movie.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
I grew up watching, Warner Brothers cartoons. There's no way those were made for adults. But, I was perfectly willing to sit there and listen to jokes about World War II rationing coupons and, gas ration things. It's just Humphrey Bogart references. And what 7-year-old's going to get Humphrey Bogart references?
Exactly. Oh, so when I was reading something that you sent me earlier, you said some things were kicking around in LA. Oh, yes. and there's just so much about you. You're very much like Barry, who we introduced earlier. And I know you two know each other, and we'll dive into that a little later. But Mad Magazine, tell us what happened with Mad Magazine.
Mad Magazine, okay, literally, right out of college. There's an ad in the New York Times, Mad Magazine, looking for comedy writers. And so I submitted a bunch of stuff. And on the first batch I sent them, they bought a Don Martin cartoon idea. I was like over the moon. Of course, never happened again. That was it. When I sent the material, it came close a couple of times, but it just never clicked again. But I have it hung on my wall, a Don Martin cartoon.
Awesome.
I am the author of. So that's that was like right out of the gate. And then years later, I was able to get involved in Mad's rival, Cracked magazine.
Ooh.
And I was with them for a long time until they
Wow.
eventually went out of business, not taking responsibility for that. Not my fault.
You better not.
But yeah, so I wrote a lot of material for them over the years. They were a great bunch of people, and just a thrill to see these amazing artists take your words and ideas and they turn into pages of funny comics. It's great. So.
And when that material of yours comes to life and they make it into the comics, is it exactly as you planned in your head, you know, or is it neat to see it take a life of its own? How does that work for you?
I think it kind of takes a life of its own, because one, I don't know which artist is going to be assigned it, so I can't even like picture in my head what it's going to look like. I kind of write what I write, vague picture in my head, because you kind of describe it to them. But these guys, they know what they're doing, and they're all talented and have the senses of humor, so they know how to kick it up to the next level. I mean, I did a thing about behind the looks at uncle tricks, those goofy tricks that your uncle will show you, like taking and pulling a coin out of your ear. And so I wrote up, ran it by them, and we wrote it up, and I sent it to the artist. And this guy, he invented this wonderful looking character, had no idea, didn't visualize it, and just it blows you over. It's just like amazing to see this thing. It's now standing on its own. It's not inside my head anymore. It's out there for the world. So it does take a life of its own.
Yeah. What else I would ask you? Oh, video games. You even do video games. And again, very much like Barry, you've got the whole spectrum going on. That's pretty rad.
Well,
did I read that right?
Yeah. I had written, this story goes a little bit back to college. I was on the NYU Humor magazine. I wrote a Sherlock Holmes parody. Somehow, I don't know how this happened, a French publisher sees it. Somehow it's online, right?
Yeah.
They translate it into French and publish it in France.
Wow.
So, and then I get a contact from the company that makes these, had made a Sherlock Holmes video game. It's puzzles and little mysteries, and then they have like jigsaw puzzles and find the missing object and pictures and all. And they contacted me and said, we're doing another one. We noticed you do Sherlock Holmes parodies. So I did that for him. I was like, crazy.
Oh, fun. Is that still accessible? My mom would love that.
Yeah. In fact, so
her French isn't so great though.
Oh, yeah.
Or is there an English
hang on a
version?
second. Hang on.
Sure.
No. It's a whole anthology of Sherlock Holmes parodies.
Ooh.
So as far as I know, it's still being sold out there. And
so that's your book. That's not the French.
That's the book in French. This is I just happen to have this because I was like poking around for it. I think I want to buy this for my grandson. He might be a little young yet, but
yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm writing a video game.
Awesome.
So did that, and as I said, just that's why I keep calling it, like I mentioned in the letter. It's like, yeah, my career is eclectic, which means all over the map.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine never gets dull.
Yes. It just there's always something odd or different thing, and some things I will tackle just to see if I could do it. I wrote jokes for a right-wing media website, and it was just like, A, they were paying, and B, it was a challenge. Could I write conservative comedy? Because that's sort of an oxymoron. Right. And I was able to pull it off for about 5 years until they found out I'm not really a conservative.
Oh no. Yes. That's probably what made it really easy for you in a way.
Well, it's they don't have the most complicated matrix for putting a joke together. So
So I heard you mention NYU. Tell me more about your time at NYU.
NYU, yeah, that was I went to 2 years to Staten Island Community College, and I transferred over to NYU in my junior year. There, I got involved with the plague, which was I'm a founding member of it technically, of the NYU plague, which was the a humor magazine. NYU had one years and years ago, as did most colleges, but this is back in the 70s. National Lampoon, the Harvard Lampoon is all hot and everyone this guy figured, oh, let's put together a magazine. And we did, and we were did everything. We wrote for it, we did the artwork, we had to paste it together with actual paste and lay out the boards and everything and send it to the printer. And I did that, and it continued. I even did a year after I graduated. It was still involved, and it's still going on. So I was thrilled to hear that.
That's awesome.
So often. So that was really good. That was part of something like that, and it continued after we left. It's morphed into different things. College humor changes from generation to generation. So it's has a lot of different things in there, and I don't know quite my taste anymore, but I've seen an issue or two. It was kind of cool when they did the an anniversary thing. What was it? They did a 25th anniversary. They contact a lot of the old writers and people involved. I got to submit something to them after all those years. It was really crazy.
And coincidentally, it was NYU that, in a sense, connected you to New Feathers.
Yes, in again, long meandering.
Yeah.
Because your other Barry Putt runs a alumni group, a peer review for scripts. Writers get together, they share their scripts with each other. We read about 15 pages, 10 to 15 pages of a script, and then spend 15-20 minutes critiquing it and trying to get insight and help out the writer where he's on mark, or if he needs a little or things that are unclear to us. And he runs the group. He's been running for a number of years now. I jumped in for a few years, had some scripts read with the group, and still in contact with Barry. And he put on his Facebook page for the NYU Script Group that New Feathers was looking for short materials, and I was like, I happen to have a hard drive full of short items. Yeah. So I submitted, and here we are.
Here we are. I can't wait. All right. So you also do podcasts, and what else? Obviously stage, the magazine, screenplays. We were talking earlier when I was saying I was going through your website, which is, again, basically your full name, or well, Dan, not Daniel.
Yeah, Dan Fiorella.
.com. And I went under the on-air tab, and I was just cracking up about this book review that these two women were doing. And it was like purposely set to be kind of corny and like a bit of a mockery of like the nerdy school teacher or librarian. And she comes in and she talks about the latest children's books. And it's obvious beneath the glasses and the crazy hairdo and everything, again, to look very nerdy, this is a really attractive woman, and she's about to have a good time with her co-host that seems to be not so hip on literary works, and they're reviewing these books, and it's just a roar because it's like a mockery of so many things. Could you give us like a little summary of what that experience was like?
Oh God, that was such a weird adventure. A friend of mine, ABC had just canceled. This is going back now a number of years. They just canceled their late night show, and they're trying to figure out what to put up in their 11:30 slot. So what they did is they started like a summer camp for various people to try out shows in New Haven, Connecticut, on the local ABC station. So I forget who was there. I happen to know the week before we went up, like Joy Behar did a week of a talk show essentially. So the people I was involved with, their premise was it would be a penthouse party, which is a very old 50s style,
Yeah.
1950s thing. And this, crazy rich guy hosts a party. And within that penthouse setting, we could have guests and skits, skits and all. And so one of the skits was, weirdly, I had a skit about reviewing children's books. Somebody else had written a similar thing. So they merged the two items. And the premise is it's during this party. This woman just happens to be sitting down with one of the hosts, and they talk about that. They had a musical guest. I mean, it was a big thing. I don't know if anyone remembers who Joe Franklin was, but he was the big get that they had him pop up and interviewed him for one episode. And it was just a remarkable offbeat thing. At last, it did not get picked up. They didn't go beyond the pilot, but it was just such a strange, different experience that you literally, hey, let's give these bunch of kids a TV show. Let them see what they come up. Let's see what they come up with.
It was a scream. I thought it was funny. I mean, it looked purposely corny, but like when you said it was in a penthouse, there was like a lot of sexy people in the background and like overdone, like purposely overdone. And I'm like, oh boy, I'm ready for this.
They had an a cappella group instead of a band, they had an a cappella group doing the theme music, and then had things. We cut away another piece I'd written for the show. This guy's watching TV, so we get to see a news report of the first witness news, who was people who get there before anything even happens, to the fact that they have to cause the problem so they can report on it.
I was gonna say.
But that was the beauty. We could jump out of the penthouse at any time. It was such a flexible format. It was called Where's the Party? And I just disappointed. We really thought we were onto something there, and it just didn't fly.
Oh man. So now it sounds like a lot of things come your way organically. How do you find most of your work? Is it just by simply being out there, going to situations like where you met Barry Putt? Like, how did you get things in hands of people out in LA, for example?
A lot of it's
professionally.
A lot of it's reading. I want to say the trades, but now it's the websites. I mean, literally everything from Craigslist. Although not lately, back then, there used to be people looking for written material all the time. They did it. Another woman I dealt with, who ended up having a interesting semi-career with, posted looking for a sketch comedy on Craigslist in New York, and I ended up working on her for a whole time until we ended up actually making a short movie together. So. The websites all over the place, looking for radio scripts. That's where I've been lately. Radio stuff. I've been
the audio dramas.
Yeah, well, comedy, but radio, audio scripts. Yeah, and it's surprising. I mean, again, like it always was. Rejection is up there, but occasionally you find that people are open to your material, your my sense of humor. And it goes on there. It's there's websites now. God, if they had this stuff when I was younger, where you can post your script and people can review it, or where you can pitch directly to companies, and they'll get back to you whether they want to look at it or not. Pretty much right time. Because back when I was getting out, you had to write cover letters and a physical print out of the script and mail it to them, and then hope that maybe they get back to you.
Sure.
And now, they still don't get back to you as much, but at least I didn't have to pay postage. So
I was just going to say that too. You're saving on stamps.
Yes, so many stamps.
I mean, we want to support our post office, of course, but still.
But there are limits.
So tell us a little bit about TMI Hollywood style without substance.
Okay. It's two different groups. There's TMI, which is the group I'm involved in now. TMI Hollywood, and then one of my long ago loves, Style Without Substance, which was in New York. TMI Hollywood is in Los Angeles, and again, TMI was a Craigslist they were looking for material, and they liked enough of my stuff where they kind of invited me to continue to submit. So again, the ratio from hit to miss is still pretty wide, but I've gotten a number of skits on there, on stage out there over the years. As we're talking before we came on the air, when COVID happened, you know, those poor people, they're all actors. The theater shut down because they were doing weekly shows.
Yeah.
And writing new material every week because they wanted to do like Saturday Night Live, where it's like new topical material. We get it, we rehearse it, they put it up live on Saturday night. They'd then tape it, and then they put it on their website later on. And so the theater gets closed down. Most of these people, of course, are working jobs that also was shut down. You know, who's a waiter, who's a waitress, who's doing, you know, dealing with the public type of work.
Right.
So during the COVID, they put together, it started as a webcast on their homepage, Tmi Hollywood, and then they turned it into a podcast as well. And they would get the cast together, whoever was available at that time, and take comedic views of the topics of the day, which was mostly COVID at the time. That was the topic of the day.
Yeah.
They began doing where they had been writing, trying to get more of a web presence, an online presence. They had started producing weekly comedy videos, both some sketches, commercial parodies, and a weekly, like a weekend update news.
Right.
Newscast.
You said a little TMZ style too, right?
Yeah. Well, that was the theater group itself would like they get hosts, and the hosts would come, hi, welcome to the show. And, oh, what are we talking about this week? And they discuss some of the topics, which would be setting up the sketches that were going to go up right afterwards. And it was a really good, flexible premise. It made it sound very immediate. They were able to get people in there. I mean, you know, some known names would come in and host from time to time, and musical guests. So they really did very, very, very much a Saturday Night Live type of thing. Musical guests, sometimes out of a stand-up would come out, and they were producing, and then they take that video they produced with the comic and throw that up on stage. They view that to the audience. So that gave them a chance to change give them a breather.
Right.
And then they started doing it daily. I was writing through the
daily.
pandemic.
Wow. That's
months of jokes, daily topical news jokes every day with a bunch of other people, and they would take the best, put it up there, open up the webcast with that, and then proceed with the show. Then go for about an hour with anywhere from 4 to 9 people on a Zoom call similar to this.
Yeah.
And that got me through the pandemic, writing this material, because it's really like, sit down, you got like 90 minutes, come up with some material, get it out to them, and then see if it gets used or not. So watching the show and see what happens.
Well, speaking of daughters, I have daughters who are really all about fashion. I think we have daughters, that's usually the scene, you know, under the age of 30, style without fashion. Or I'm sorry,
without substance.
That sounds like a laugh too. What's that about?
That was, oh God. I again, I met a person from one group. She mentioned, oh, there's this group out in Jersey. I like your material. Blah, blah. They'll get involved with that. There was a theater, the whole theater in Montclair, New Jersey.
Oh,
it was run by Olympia Dukakis.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about.
So this was her theater, and what she did is one of her minions talked her into using the theater when it was dark, when they would do their productions.
Sure.
He taught classes and drama and whatnot, and he put together a comedy, an evening of comedy. He'd take his various actors at all, and I started submitting material to them. And I was a writing member of that group. That was in New Jersey. Went to the rehearsals. We'd sit down. We'd knock out stuff together. It was just a remarkable group. Eventually, the group kind of coalesced down to 6 or 7 people, because originally at one point they had like 12, 13 actors involved, and they got down to an actual troupe. And they worked around the New York tri-state area and would do shows and whatnot. And those were good times.
Yeah.
Everyone's young, everyone's feisty. We're running to Manhattan, do this, we're going to do that, and pop up. To put together a reel and preserve some of the comedy, I got involved with our local public access TV. Anyone remember that?
Sure.
And we did 2 shows just so I could tape some of the material and hope, put together a reel or something, but preserve some of the work together on tape. It was an amazing group. Yeah, still good friends with them and see them from time to time. So
what time frame was that? How long ago was that? I hear Olympia Dukakis's theater is closed. Is that accurate?
Yes, it's been a while. She just passed away. In fact, that's kind of prompted the group reunited on Zoom a while ago.
Sure.
We had our own little meeting because to remember her. And this was like the end of the 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
When she was running that theater. And after the group kind of went away, kind of lost touch with them for a bit. Occasional hello here and there, phone call, but I totally lost touch of what was happening with the theater. I didn't learn out until years later that it did close.
Right. So what can people know about you now? So you've got things going on Amazon with books, and how many books do you have on Amazon?
Lost Claws, Halloweenies, 1, 2, 3 Flubber books. So that many.
Too many. That's
so that was a thing. Weirdly, I had written a script years and years ago. It's one of those stories that like popped into my head, almost fully formed, which is an amazing feeling.
Oh yeah.
And it was it became a script called Lost Claws, where this hard-boiled private eye gets hired by an elf to find Santa who's missing. And it was just such a wonderful, I got optioned. I was out in LA for a while to try to get it going. I had to rework it a bit.
Yeah.
That's a whole adventure, which I've written down on my blog, just because it's just so weird. It involves Pee Wee Herman.
Fun.
So worked on that. And then that was like the first thing was like, I love this story so much and been through so much. I was like, I need to lock it down. And that was like the first story I took and did a novelization of it, adapted it to that. And I always got very nice feedback about it. And the character, I think we mentioned before we came on, the detective, Nick Fleber. But he like grew on me. And I started writing. I wrote another follow-up to it. And then I kept some notes and stuff, and other people who had ideas and suggestions. And I wound up, and this is kind of how I segued into radio, because I converted the screenplay into a book, into a 30-minute radio adaptation, and sent that around to various groups.
Yeah.
And one group produced it, placed second in their contest, and then another group in the Midwest did it and really did a good job in it. And then I got involved with the third group, and they really liked it. And so I started adapting some of the other stories I turned into books, into radio scripts. And then I started writing some brand new stuff. That was one of my pandemic projects, was doing a couple of Nick Fleber radio scripts. And I am thrilled that the group, now I'm blanking on the name, the theater group in Minnesota, radio theater group, is taking the 6 scripts and including it in their 2021-2022 season, starting in December. So,
oh wow, is that the one that you won an award for?
That's one of them. Yes, I won the MTV 2021 audio drama script writing competition.
Cupid is as Cupid does.
Yes. So it's the premise is his cases are always, if not supernatural, in that realm of the fantastic. So it's Santa Claus, Cupid is missing, gets involved with Peter Pan in one of the scripts. So it's that, and I've gotten very nice feedback on it, and again, family oriented. So some of the jokes might be a couple of double entendres here and there, because a film noir detective just always not quite blue, but he's always a little kind of got 2 thoughts going on at one time. So I'm happy about that. And so I'm kind of trying to get my gears in place to start working on a couple of new ones for that. And coincidentally, and I'm hoping one feeds into the other, another producer picked up on the original Lost Clause screenplay and has been showing it around town in LA. So I got my fingers crossed on that one. That
for sure
it clicks.
Oh, wow. Well, this is really great. I just love all this stuff you've got going on. I'm still thinking about the Sherlockian video game, and it's like in France, you know, and then
that,
oh, wow.
That was that. I mean, that's like one of those random emails comes in like, what? Ooh,
yeah.
Sure. Okay. Fine.
Why not?
Do it.
There's a lot of Sherlockians out there. That's like a whole underground group. My mom was part of it, actually.
Oh, is it? Well,
yeah, it was a big deal. Really smart people too. Like they really get into it.
I went through a heavy phase of that years ago, and it kind of led into the parodies that I did. So.
Oh, fun. Well, everybody, I think we're running out of time here, but we had so much fun. I had fun getting to know Dan so much more and everything that he has going on, and really keeping it creative and comedic, fun, of course. If you want to see Dan's work in action on stage, please join us at the Zlock Performing Arts Center in Newtown, PA on the 14th of this month. So that's actually a week from today. We'd love to see you. And beforehand, we have a pre-show meet and greet happy hour. And there's complimentary wine and craft beer, that sort of thing. That's with like a different ticket purchase, but it's nominal. It's like $10 more, but it's a great time because everybody really gets to network. And I've seen a lot of friendships actually get formed at our pre-show meet and greets that we've been doing since 2017. It's a really nice community. So too bad you won't be there, Dan.
I know. It's really, darn it. It's a school night. Darn it.
It's a school night. Well, everybody, again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. And have a great upcoming weekend. Bye. See you, Dan.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.